All right, guys. So today I'm going to do a little video here on what marijuana actually did for me in the positive sense. Now, I know I talk a lot about the importance of quitting, and I still stand by that. However, I do not demonize weed, and I think it in itself is not a terrible thing. For the individual itself, though, that's really where that discernment needs to come in is okay, is this something that's good for me or not? So for myself, weed actually did a lot for me, and I'm very grateful I did smoke because it opened my eyes to a lot of things. Before I started smoking when I was in high school, and obviously before that, I was pretty close minded. I was very tapped into the typical, high school, what you think of when you think of kids and how they behave, and kind of being that egocentric type of person. That was very much me. I didn't really care about any other people, and I only cared about people that would be able to directly benefit me. So yes, very selfish, very self-centered. And when I started to smoke weed, what really happened was it started to open my eyes to that. Okay, I'm not the center of the universe. It really did lessen my ego, and it raised my consciousness far further than I think I maybe would have ever gotten if I never had touched it. I started to see that people, it didn't matter what you look like, or if you were popular or if you were good at sports. It mattered more about if you're a good person or not. And although today, as I'm no longer on weed, I do value those things in a sense, not for like the vanity reasons, but more that like, okay, if people are active, right? That's an important value to me because it means they take care of themselves, which means they're going to take care of their relationship. So thankfully, my consciousness has evolved to more than even that, what I talked about before. But when I was smoking weed, I started to not care about that stuff anymore. I started to not care about being cool or being popular. I just cared about, well, to be honest, if we were going to get to smoke weed or not, but more if I actually liked you and connected with you and we had a good time. That was more what mattered to me. And I'm very thankful that happened because now today I don't judge people based on how they look or maybe their upbringing or anything like that. It's more about how they're behaving in the moment and if we are a good fit for each other on that relationship level, spiritual relationship level, you could say. Something else it did for me too was it allowed me to kind of resolve some of the trauma I had. Like I was able to stop taking things so seriously, which was really nice because up until I started smoking, I was a very serious person. I cared about academics, I cared about really my status in the society and the culture, pleasing my parents. And it was very nice to just kind of let that go a bit, to realize that, okay, this isn't as important as I thought it was, and to start having a bit of fun. So I did have a lot of fun when I was smoking, at least in the beginning stages. Would laugh with buddies, would eat a lot, tons of munchies, and would get to have some pretty cool experiences, stuff that I never thought I would get to experience again because of the trauma I experienced in high school and from some of the past trauma that was starting to bubble up as I was becoming older and more aware of like who I was as a person. And so it really kind of helped in that sense. And I was able to find some peace with a lot of things. Now, I will say when I did quit, I had to face that again in a different light. However, for the momentary moments where I was smoking, it did give me some relief, which I really did appreciate. The other thing it did was really open my eyes to music. So this was a huge one. As you hear much on this channel, there's a lot of house music. And I was not into techno or any of that weird stuff, right? It was all radio stuff and bands and stuff like that, like alternative rock and punk and metal and screamo and that kind of thing. So I was like, techno weird, right? Right? Beats weird. And as soon as I started smoking weed, I discovered dance music and electronic dance music. And I think the first two songs I ever really fell in love with, three actually, were 2 Million by Avicii, amazing track. We would listen to that when we were pre-gaming before going out. Also, Summit by Skrillex, amazing song. Definitely recommend that, checking that out. The music video itself is crazy. And then finally was She Wolf by David Guetta. Just right when Big Room was coming in, that song just pumped. And some of the best moments I had smoking were listening to those songs and watching those music videos. So I became aware of a whole different side of music. And I really stopped caring about the pop culture vibes, like, just Katy Perry and all that Taylor Swift stuff. Not that I was super into them anyway, but more like I was only into mainstream. And it actually propelled me on a semi career with music. As I've talked to you a lot about on this channel, I really gave it a good run to try to break into the industry. And unfortunately, I just wasn't quite good enough. I think if I would have kept going with it, I maybe would have been able to break through eventually. However, I was 9 years in, and I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Like, I've put a lot of work into this and got absolutely nowhere. I mean, I did get somewhere because I quit weed because of it. However, in terms of the actual career itself, nothing was really coming out of it. Dance music, though, has opened my mind and has given me a whole new love for music. And I love dance music, man. Like today, like that's pretty much all I listen to. If I'm at the gym, I listen to dance music. If I'm just vibing out, it's always dance music. And I always tell myself, like, okay, I'm going to take a break from dance music. And then I hear a dance music song and I'm like all in. So if it wasn't for weed, I wouldn't have woken up to this love I have for electronic dance music. And when I was in Poland recently, as I have some videos on, I went to probably a dance music club at least once a week. And we just vibed to some techno, tech house. Here in Mexico City, where I'm at now, there's some really cool clubs. And we thankfully get to go to some really cool places where dance music is really popular. So that's what I love about these kind of more traditional societies as well, is because dance music is pretty popular here. And in Europe, obviously, very big as well. Huge. So weed has given me a lot of things, and I again and do not want to demonize it and say that it's an evil thing, because I don't think in itself it is not. I think what it does though is, you know, it has chemical properties that cause one to be very dependent on it. That's what it was for myself, and I know a lot of people on this channel as well. And fortunately, it just didn't work anymore. And I eventually, the way I look at it is, it helped me reach a level of consciousness that I was not at before. This is like my younger self. And then what happened though was that I couldn't go any further than that until I quit weed. And so every time I would smoke weed, I would actually go back down to basically, okay, so basically I went here to here, but then this became the new low. And then I tried to transcend that, but long as I kept smoking weed, I just kept going back down, kept going back down. So when I did quit weed, I was starting to able, that was one of the big blessings of quitting, is I was able to start transcending that level then, and find new levels of consciousness and awareness, insight about myself, other people, the world. And I'm still, you know, it's a never ending thing. So I'm not gonna bet I'm gonna get enlightened. Probably ain't gonna happen. But the more I continue to work and stay off marijuana and substances, the more I can become aware of life in its entirety and have a better existence. So like a good relationship, sometimes it just runs its course and you got to say goodbye, part ways, wish them the best, and move on. And there is a grieving process. It does hurt. It is kind of scary. However, every relationship I look back on that has ended, and I've looked at, I can see now as a blessing, because I'm way further along than had I stayed in that relationship with that person, or in this case, Mary Jane. So Mary Jane, hey, you were a great partner. We had a great time. Guys, comment down below if you can relate to this and if you think weed was a benefit for you, because I think, you know, part of letting go of weed and quitting is acknowledging that it wasn't all bad. And in doing that, a level of acceptance comes, and gratitude almost for the times you had. And from there, it helps with the transition process, because you can kind of say to yourself, okay, I'm ready to mature. I'm ready to move forward, instead of like, oh, like I still want her, but I know I need to quit. It's a very mature way to just say, okay, you know, that was that, and this is now, and I'm ready to move on. So guys, super fun video to make. I look forward to talking to the next one. Have a great one. Weed free, of course, and talk to you soon. Peace.